because once he's the one who is in charge of the roads, they don't even consult the county government.
Yes.
They don't consult the county governments on the CDF projects that they want to do. It's like we are running two parallel governments that don't speak to each other.
And two parallel constitutions.
Yes. So for as long as this money for RMLF is assigned to the member of parliament for, I don't want to say a constituency because they'll start crying. He is the person who determines which contractor is going to get that road, to do that road, and then wanakutana nyuma ya tent vile mmoja wao mwenyewe ametuambia, and that should not be the case.
But so does legislation interface with execution. You know, my problem is not understanding the corruption they want to do. My problem is understanding on which legal footing do they want to execute this.
No, they have. In fact, the argument we have made as ODM is that there is no legal footing. The courts have said as much, because, as you know, the courts have already declared funds such as the CDF unconstitutional.
Yes.
There is now a bill that has been published to amend the constitution to entrench all these funds in the constitution. It's undergoing public participation, and our position and the position I take. Luckily for me, I take instructions from only one boss. I only have one boss, who is Raila Molo. So all these other riffraffs shouting here and there, I don't really care what they have to say. I take instructions from one person. So Baba has been very clear that, in fact, members of the National Assembly have no business engaging in road construction. He has come to the defense of devolution on this particular issue, and he has directed that members of the National Assembly from ODM must support devolution. And I was happy that at the burial in Siaya recently for his long-time bodyguard, the leader of minority in the National Assembly, who's an ODM member, the Honorable Junet Mohammed, committed to making sure that members of ODM support the position that has been taken by the party. And in fact, the tiff that I was getting into with some of these characters from Kenya Kwanza is that we have not had the president defending devolution. In fact, he is an enemy of devolution when he stands up and says, leave it to me. Yeah, that is not what the constitution says. He has national roads to deal with. Nazime mshinda. So awache governors wafanye county roads as required by the constitution. Number two, the leader of majority in the National Assembly, Kimani Ichung'wah, has said nothing. Has said nothing at all in defense of devolution. In fact, he, all the time when he rises on the floor of the House, he wants to characterize the governors as the problem with devolution. But Mark, if you interact with these issues, I'm telling you, this country is in a problem. And I am convinced that if we don't sort out national leadership, it doesn't matter what these people are doing here at the county level. We will always struggle. Because the people at the helm, the top, if they don't believe in devolution, do you know, Mark, we say, okay, we have passed the Division of Revenue Bill. It says Nairobi County is going to get 20 billion Kenya shillings. So the county governor has to start preparing a budget based on what the Senate has passed, right?
Yes.
But that money never ever gets to the counties in time. We pass something called a disbursement schedule. A disbursement schedule is supposed to say every single month, county government of Nairobi will receive 1.2 billion Kenya shillings. The National Treasury never follows that disbursement schedule. So why do we pass these things? You know? Then you see it and you rack up a lot of pending bills. It is impossible for counties to plan, to operate. You know, to operate. So if you don't get a person who actually believes in devolution in the national government at the top, then nothing is going to happen. And clearly, William Ruto is not the right person, because he's saying he wants to take away county functions.
So, Sifuna, here we're talking about 60 billion shillings. And then there are these other bodies that are in charge of making sure that this is spent. So we have the Kera and Kura. So once this devolution, as stated by the constitution, we only have two roads, national and county. Where will Kera and Kura go?
So my party leader, again, has provided guidance. Because Mzee was the person who crafted these road agencies. At that particular point in time, we still had a unitary system. We didn't have the new constitution. Now, he has said boldly, and it is a position that we have taken as a party, and it's a position that I follow. So if you want to come after me, know that you are not coming after Sifuna, you're coming after Raila. Baba amesema ya kwamba in the current constitutional dispensation, we actually don't need Kura and Kera, because all those roads, there are only two roads. two classifications of roads, the national roads and the county roads. So KERA has no business existing. It has no business existing.
Yes.
Let those roads, because those roads are classified as county roads, be managed by the county governments.
Yes.
Kenya Urban Roads Authority need not exist at the moment under the constitutional dispensation that we have. So that is the position. The problem is, the problem, Mark, is money.
Right, that's it. Okay, so let's jump off of that issue.
That's the problem.
Edwin, let's jump off of that issue and let's play in a different space just for a minute, as uncomfortable as it might be. Let us imagine that members of parliament have finished their work in legislation, they finished their work in representation, they finished that work. And now they want to focus on handling this fund, because essentially, what is the purpose of this fund? It is to build, maintain roads. That's what it is. That's what that road maintenance money does, right? What would it look like that members of parliament in 290 constituencies then would be handling this money? What would you imagine that they would be doing?
The number of portobellos in this country.
Let's imagine, what would they be doing?
First of all, it is impossible to conclude or finish the work of representing.
Exactly.
Because you see, representation is a daily thing. You represent people in all the platforms that you get, including here, including in parliament, and in all the spaces that you occupy. So I don't countenance, or I don't imagine a situation where you would be done with legislative business and representation business. But the truth is, we exist. For instance, we senators, we don't have any funds to build anything.
Yes.
We don't have, but we do exist. We have a job to do, and we do it well. As a person elected to represent, to legislate, and to oversight, if you look at the scorecard in the past 2.5 years, the Senate has done extremely well. Just last week, we were passing a law to give financial independence to county assemblies. Do you know that because of that simple amendment to the public finance management law, you allow greater oversight in the counties? Because imagine the assembly and its functions and its running depending on the
governor,
whims of the governor. There is a famous form they used to call Form C, that if the CEC for finance is not available to sign that form, there is no drinking water in the county assembly. How are you supposed to oversight people? And when I went to there was a meeting of the county assembly forum where I was invited to speak. I gave them an assurance that as a Senate we are agreed we're going to give financial independence to county assemblies so that they can enhance their oversight capacity. We have passed, just the other day, there's a bill that I sponsored on transparency in the electricity billing system, transparency in the energy sector, just basic things like disclosure of beneficial owners of these independent power producers and so on and so forth. I have now started my second amendment, the second legislative proposal that I've made, to make sure that county governments set aside some money, 1% of whatever money they receive on their county revenue fund, to support registered sporting associations, so that every time the Nairobi County Boxing Association has a tournament, in Vihiga or Mombasa, they don't walk around with a begging ball in our offices saying they want 100,000 shillings to travel. The county government of Nairobi, if you look at their budget, there is no single line allocation of money for sporting associations. How are you supposed to nurture talents? So there is a lot of work to do. There's a lot of work to do. I personally have taken the position that it's not that we lack laws. We have laws, sufficient laws, but it's just the bad manners in this country that every time we have to tie the hands behind the back of the people with executive power even more and more. So every time we try to tighten. In terms of representation, my brother, there's a lot of issues. If you come to my office, I have an entire box, like something like that DJ stand, for petitions from people. All sorts of issues. People have issues in promotions of police officers, promotion of teachers. You have seen members of the National Assembly handing out TSC letters. Have you ever seen Sifuna do those things? I mean, it's just ridiculous.
It is.
So, if we focused on our mandate as members of parliament, people elected in the Senate and the National Assembly, there's actually enough work to do. You don't have to be running around.
So you actually have no business then trying to manage a road maintenance levy fund.
And that is